p.m. Welcome to the workshop special action meeting of the West Milford Board of Education. I would remind everybody to please turn off their cell phones and notice the emergency exits. And I would like to,
God bless you.
with all the hoopla going on in the press with our president-elect, I pray that everything goes smoothly and the people of this country, especially our Congress, start acting like the elected officials that we hope they are. So, if they can, but if we could have a quick moment of silence. Could rise for the flag salute, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, a public notice of this meeting has been sent to board members, all district schools, the Herald News, the Trends, the Record, the Messenger, West Milford Town Hall, County Superintendent's Office, the Board Attorney, and Cablevision of Warwick, and posted in the Administration Building. Copies of the board meeting calendar resolution were provided to all local media, Town Hall, Township, Library, and all district schools. Roll call, please, Mrs. Francisco.
Mr. Bailey? Mr. Slidowitz?
Here.
Mr. Drew?
Here.
Mrs. Dwyer? Here. Mr. Foodie?
Present?
Mr. Huber?
Here.
Ms. O'Brien? Mr. Robbins?
Okay.
I think Debbie's on her way down. Yep, here she comes.
No, that's not Debbie.
That's not Debbie?
No.
Oh, no, it's not. Oh, I do.
Glenn,
You're welcome.
would you, sorry about that.
Executive session?
Do the executive session resolution, please.
Move to approve the following resolution. Resolve that the board go into executive session at 9 p.m. for approximately 30 minutes for the purpose of discussing student matters, and HIB, and matters concerning client privilege, and I'm going to add personnel, just in case, because Joe isn't here.
And Hillcrest.
And Hillcrest.
And Hillcrest.
The executive session minutes will not be released until such time as the privilege of confidentiality is no longer applicable.
I'll
We
second
really
that.
need to fix that typo. It's in there every
Yeah,
time.
no, I know.
I'll second it.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
What's that? The or should be an oath. I read it twice. Read it wrong every week. every meeting.
You can't hear us?
Oh, the mic's not on? Hello? Yeah.
Were you able to hear me before? Okay. Thank you, Ada. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
I
Terry
second
did.
it.
Terry did.
Thanks, Barbara.
Any opposed? Okay. Dr. Anamone, Superintendent's report, please.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. We have our couple of small items tonight. We have our semi-annual violence and vandalism, substance abuse, HIB reporting out period. Time period is from July 1 through December 31, 2016. And district-wide, we had 5 acts of violence to report, 1 incident of vandalism, 1 weapons infraction, 2 substance abuse infractions, and 4 confirmed HIB incidents. We had 10 investigations, and 6 were unconfirmed, 4 were confirmed. So this submission has been uploaded to the state already, and now we're reporting out to the board and to the community.
Okay, thank you.
Is that for a year?
That is for a half year,
Half year.
Yeah.
until
Half year. Okay,
July
that makes
through
more
end of
sense. Thank you.
December.
And just so you know, Mr. Roselli is on his way. He'll be here in a minute. He said the traffic was, and fog was insane, so.
Next up, we have our West Milford Education Foundation grants for 2016-17. We have some great news. The foundation awarded over $7,000, $7,323 to be exact, to our teachers and our learners in all district schools. We have just a couple I'll read out to you without going through the whole list. We have Operation Greenhouse, which is an over $700 grant. We have a 6th grade STEM project at Aptua School. We have a Sprouts Garden at Paradise Knolls School. We have an outdoor education area at Upper Greenwood Lake. We have a little bit of something for everybody. And again, teachers and educators have to apply for these grants to the foundation. So we had a very good year, and we thank the foundation, as well as all the benefactors, the people who supported the foundation for the previous year at the Color Run and all different events. So thank you, West Milford. Lastly, on the superintendent's report, although I do have something to add after this, is our 2015-16 Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights report. This was reported out earlier by me, probably in August of this year. So we did our self-assessment for the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights at all of our schools, and we reported out probably in August, and we submitted the grades to the state, and the state confirmed our report, our grades. The grades are a self-assessment, and they were confirmed by the state. This is out of 78 points maximum. West Milford High School earned 72 points. Aptua Elementary, 74. Macapin, 70. Maple Road, 72. Marshall Hill, 73. PK, 71. UGL, 73. And Westbrook, 74. Our district grade is a 72 out of 78, and we will post this on our website if anybody wants to take a look at it.
Dr. Anamone, how do we get that number up?
We find out where we're missing points. There's different categories, and there's a maximum number of points, and there's the points that you have in that area. So, for example, if there's 6 maximum points in one category, we may have 5 for one reason or the other. I'd have to look at each individual school's report, but those are the areas where you want to bump up to the maximum.
Okay, thank you.
And so that the public knows, each school does their own self-assessment?
Yes, the school safety team at each building does this at the end of the school year. We report out in the summer, we send it to the state, and they confirm our grades just a few days ago.
Okay.
And lastly, did not make the print copy of the agenda, but I do want to acknowledge, as we know, earlier this year, we did a lot of goal setting, much earlier than usual, which was very helpful to me and to my administrative team. In May, I believe we met to discuss our goals for the school year for 16-17, and then shortly thereafter, over the summer, I met with the administrative team, the principals, the supervisors, the directors, to get some goals that coincide with our district goals. So one of the goals of the athletic department was sort of a reach goal. We have some goals that are fairly reasonable to attain, and we have some that are more of a reach. If everything goes well, we can maybe accomplish that goal, and this is one of them. So the athletic department at the high school applied for the Directors of Athletic Award, or excuse me, the Directors of Athletics Association of New Jersey Excellence in Athletics Award. There's 433 NJSIAA schools, and this is the most prestigious award a school district athletic department can earn in New Jersey. There's only one award given every year, and this year I'm proud to announce that it was earned by West Milford Township High School and their athletic department. So I want to thank our Director of Athletics, Joe Tranacosta, and members of his application committee, Kathy Rita, Jessica Allison, Taylor Pevney, Krista Provost, Joanne Drewley, Lauren Rembrandt, Krista Tripodi, Don Doherty, Megan Cavallo, and Steve Maslanic, as well as all the players, coaches, and athletic supporters that we have in our district. To follow that up, there is an interesting article written today, just a few hours ago, by Darren Cooper. He's the preeminent high school sports journalist in the state of New Jersey now. He works for The Record. And his article, his nickname is Scoops. The article is called Shark Teeth and Deer, West Milford Honored. And I'll read you the first 2 or 3 sentences here. And there's copies of this article on the back table, and you can find it online as well. So he starts off, when I get asked what are the best places to watch a high school game in New Jersey, I always answer West Milford. And it doesn't matter what sport. They always have people in the stands, the kids are cheerful, the atmosphere is lively. I don't think I've ever had a bad experience up there. It's a drive, but there are ice cream places to stop in. So it goes on, and again, this is the most prestigious award the athletic department can receive. Only one high school in the state receives it every year, and this year is West Milford Township. So we had a reach goal, and we made it, so I'm super happy and very proud of everybody that was involved, so thank you.
Great. Barbara, special reports and correspondence, please.
The minutes will be available from the December 20th meeting at our next meeting on Tuesday.
Okay. Mr. Roselli is not here for a legal report, but usually that is discussed in exec. It's usually matters of attorney-client privilege. It's President's report. Before we get to the solar panels, I just wanted to let the board know why I put Hillcrest on the agenda for executive session. I was contacted by Skip McLaughlin, and there's some things that we'll talk about when we get in there. Other than that, I am going to pass this off to Joe and his partner John, and you guys got the floor.
Okay, great. Thanks for inviting us. For those who don't know me, I think I know a lot of people in here. My name is Joe Ponzo. I've been in this town for 35 years. I've sat on many boards throughout the town. I'm a certified energy manager for Siemens Industries. I'm also a lead AP, which is what I do for a living. So a couple folks that asked me, what do I do? Mr. Novak happens to live next door to me, so he knows what I'm always tinkering with, and he knows what I do for a living. So what I do is basically energy conservation projects that basically go out and save energy for people. I also do mechanical service work, and some of the stuff involves solar panels. This is in no shape or form a sales presentation. I was asked to do an educational thing to kind of educate everybody. It's all high level. There's no technical information here other than what we know from the state. We don't know any numbers from what the town is going to be consuming or not consuming, where we can put stuff. I'm just presenting what I know based on living in this town for 35 years, and I know all the schools. Happen to be a fireman in town, so I know where all the schools are. So solar. For those who don't know, basically solar is probably the most stagnant thing you can imagine. It just sits there and it doesn't do much. It just kind of sits there, as you can see here. It collects the sun certain hours of the day. It transforms the power, the sun energy, into electrical power. There's things called inverters. It's the word right there. That's the only maintenance item really that you have on solar. Every 3 months you should go out there and clean the air filters out. Once a year if you have the opportunity to wash the panels off with some water, it's great. If you get a lot of rain, you don't have to. So, New Jersey, okay? New Jersey itself is not one of the user-friendly solar people. Right now, they really only want, with the governor's plan that's out there, he only wants solar farms to put on brownfields, landfills, swamps. Any kind of green acre property, you'd have to go through all kinds of legislature to get it to approve. We do have one advantage here, and hopefully maybe the town council can work, because I know they're working to try and get some revenue coming in because of the Highlands Act. So it might be a bargaining chip for us to go down to the state and say, hey, look, this town's 100% on Highlands, we need some help, Can you maybe help us out and let us put solar on a property that might not be a brownfield? All right, so you can go out to this website here, and you can see all of the master plan stuff that the state has. But right now, as it stands, New Jersey only supports renewable energy other than residential homes. for commercial properties on brownfields and landfills. So I went out and I took some of the properties, okay? I looked at some of the properties we have here. And I've been hearing discussions about Wallace, okay? I know the property very well. I sat on the Township Building Assessment Committee, so we were involved with this when it first came about. You've got a property here. This is the senior housing there. This is the coastal gas station. This is the barn. This is the house. This is pretty much all of the Wallace property. Okay? There's 100 acres there. And I'm just, again, pointing out, you do have potential here. You have some wetlands here. Under the current legislature, you can put solar on wetlands. Okay? One site we're looking at, and the maximum, again, the maximum you can put on any given piece of property is 10 acres. So the state will only allow you to use 10 acres. So if you were to take a 10-acre piece of property, and one ideal spot is here by the senior, you really don't see it from the road because if anybody who's gone by, there's a big berm here. So if you were to put solar panels back in here, the only one that really would catch a glimpse of it would be those folks there. But again, we haven't done any studies, we haven't done anything regarding that. Then we got this complex here. Okay? You got the high school, you got the middle school, you got the Westbrook School, and all the other properties. So you've got some potential property here. Based on the report I saw, you could put some on the high school, possibly some on the Westbrook, and if you can do a trade-off with property, possibly on this field here, or like I said, this field here. Now, let me go back a little bit. One thing New Jersey has is the only way you can make electricity off a solar field and sell it is if it's designated as a solar farm, okay? And you're going to sell it at the wholesale rate, and it's substantially discounted from what you're actually paying. As an example, we'll buy it at 5 cents a kilowatt. I think right now the Board of Ed's paying 15. So you're really not making a lot of money, by going with a solar farm. But over here, on this parcel, you can do what's called a net metering project. What that means is you can produce as much power as you want, up to about 70-80% of the power, and feed it into these meters on all of these complexes here, and the meters will actually run backwards. So net metering is doable here, and you can do it under two ways. You can do it where the township buys the equipment, owns the equipment, and reaps the benefits from it. And there are certain benefits from it. One is the electricity that you're going to generate from it. There's something called SREC credits, okay? Right now the SREC credits are very high. They're paying somewhere between $200 and $250 per credit. So a 2-megawatt solar farm could potentially generate $40,000, $50,000 a year just in credits. But you can't take tax credits because we don't pay taxes. The Board of Ed doesn't pay taxes. So there's no tax credit benefits from it. But you could do depreciation on equipment if you own it. I've been hearing, through the media, they're talking about a power purchase agreement, or PPA. PPA, what that basically is somebody comes in, a contractor will come in, install all the equipment on the roof. You don't pay him a dime, but you guarantee him 15 years that you're going to pay him X amount of dollars per kilowatt. Okay, and that's typically, right now, they're going somewhere in the 8 to 9 cents a kilowatt. So yes, you are saving 6 cents a kilowatt, but you're only, and there's going to be an escalation too. As the years go on, it may be 9 today, but next year it might be 9.5, and next year, but it'll escalate up to a certain point. So that there you have no capital outlay. You don't have to maintain it. Somebody else does it. You got to look at the model. We would put together a model for you to tell you how much of a benefit you can see from that versus owning it. Another place. This place is very unique. Most people don't know it. I've been in town a long time. This is the town DPW garage. This is the road coming up. That's the Marshall Hill School. You come up the road, you make the right on like Houston Drive. This is the soccer fields. This is the pump track. Okay? Now, you say, well, why would I want to do anything there? Well, the potential could be here where you could put solar here. And you could do a trade-off and build the soccer fields down by the Wallace property. I happen to know what was underneath this property. For those who don't, this used to be a landfill. It's about 75 feet deep of garbage. Okay, it's been capped, and it produces a ton of methane gas. You can also put a potential cogen plant up there, where you would basically generate power, and that you can sell back to the grid. There's a huge landfill project up on Route 94 in Lafayette called Ham's Landfill. They generate 2 megawatts, okay, and they're making a ton of money up there based on gas that they got for free out of a landfill. So that's why I'm pointing this out. You know, there's potential there. This is the Upper Greenwood Lake School. Big roof, flat roof. Put a lot of power up there. You can do a net metering project up there, or a power purchase agreement, whatever you folks choose. So here's some of the details. Now, the municipality can install it, own it, and operate the whole farm if we can get it approved through the state. You know, we do have the advantage, just like I said, for the fact that we are in the Highlands. We could possibly twist their arm and say, look, you got to help us out. Here's one way. The solar farm to the grid connection. If you're under a farm process, yes, you would hook up to the grid. If we were to put a farm down by Wallish, halfway up the block is a giant substation. So we could, the interconnect would be real quick and easy. It's not far away. All right? There are things, like I said, if you were to put a 2 megawatt solar farm, basically you can generate 40, 50,000 just in SREC credits each year just for doing nothing, for the fact that you're making 2 megawatts of power. And that's what this is here. But the tax credits, unfortunately, because we don't pay taxes, you know, as a school, we can't. There are tax incentives, which could be like 30%. We would lose those because we don't pay taxes. Okay? The landfill site, again, it's closed and capped already. It's producing methane. It's a potential for a base, you know, potential moneymaker up there, both on the solar side and on the cogen plant. All right? And then site selections. These are some of the things we look at when we put solar in. You know, make sure the property is level. Make sure it's facing southwest. You need 4 to 5 acres per megawatt. You need a connection point, you know, near the Wallish, and the BPW site is a great candidate because that big substation is right there by Dairy Queen. You know, you have to do all your environmental approvals, of course, and you have to do preliminary feasibility studies to see how much power you consume each year. And you don't ever want to overproduce unless you're selling it as a farm. You don't ever want to produce on a PPA or a solar-owned project, but you're giving them free power. They will not buy it from you on a commercial application. All right, then approvals, again, depending on how you go, if you're going to own the property and own the equipment, you have to go through all the approvals, or your contractor would have to go through all the approvals. These are just some legislature that's out there that you can look at that basically tells you where and why you can put things on certain sites, you know, like site remediation processes and landfill closures, all that stuff. It's just stuff that's all tied into it. Again, under the approval, once you've got your approvals, you'd have to do all your construction, you'd have to do all your safety, your security. Your final township, you know, hopefully the township building department will work with us to get the approvals. There really isn't much for them to do other than safety concerns and fire concerns. That's really the only concerns on a solar farm. And then you have to go through the DCA for your construction permits because their concern is the environment. All right? And then your final steps would be to do your engineering, all your installations, your commissioning, your SREC registration, because you have to register your SRECs so that somebody buys them. Basically, that's just like a coupon kind of thing where people, the utility companies have to buy these credits at $250 a credit. So you're going to generate, you know, somewhere around 40 to 50,000 a year with those. So you have to get somebody to buy them. And you can bank it too, so that if they go down, like they were down to $80 at one point, now they're up to $250. So if they go down, you just sit there, hold them, and then you wait till they go back up and sell them. Okay, and then, you know, on a farm condition, it's ideal to put a, you know, to try and maximize the amount of money you get from it. You try to wheel and deal right up front, because once you close the deal, that's it, you're done. And then you're responsible, if you're going to own it, you'll be responsible for all the construction equipment. So that's it on the solar. I mean, I can answer some questions if people have questions, myself or John. John's the expert on the money side. John's going to talk about ESIP, which is also part of this program. It's all tied together, and he'll explain to you what ESIP means and why you want to consider doing an ESIF project, and he'll go into that. So has anybody got any solar questions quickly? Go ahead.
How does the state define brownfields?
A lot of it has to do with pollution levels. When they do an environmental impact study, it's designated as a brownfield. A lot of it has to do with hazardous waste dumps, contamination, things like that. You know. I know Wallish has a little bit of an issue over there. I know it's very small. The Wallish brothers used to shoot shotgun shells and there's lead in the ground, but I don't think that would be considered a brownfield. It's small to begin with, so. But are you thinking of any other sites in town?
Yes, I think you told me about.
A site that was cleared to be a soccer field and never got built.
That's the one up behind Macapin.
And had some stuff dumped there.
Yeah, that's the one up behind Macapin.
If it was designated, if there was an EPA, environmental impact study done on it, and it has.
Yeah, no, I don't,
And you want to let us know.
yeah, no, I don't believe there is.
That could be.
Yeah.
I don't think it's big enough either. It's only like
On the net
25%.
metering, does that mean that we have to be buying more than we're producing
Correct.
at every instant in time? Or can we produce more in the summer and buy even more than that in the
And
winter?
metering boils down to basically is that over a period of time, okay, you consume so many kilowatts and you produce so many kilowatts. As long as that total never goes over the total usage, then you're okay.
Is that on an annual basis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll spin the meter backwards at certain times,
Yeah.
right? When the load
Okay.
is there.
Like when the summertime, the schools are closed, okay?
That would be a whole different issue if you always had to be a consumer.
You're going to spin it in reverse, like, you'll be able to use it as a fan,
Yeah.
okay? Because there's no. So in the end of the year, your total
Yeah.
kilowatts, but they want you to be somewhere around 70-80%. And the reason for that is because, you're hoping that the solar farm's running all the time. But they know that it doesn't, and that there could be potential of a takedown for maintenance, so that when it does go down, they have to provide you with power. Okay? So that's why they really only want you to be at the 70-80% mark. But I've seen even on residential applications where people's electric bills $2 from the utility for the whole year because they got it that close. They got it that close. They'd like to see it 70-80, but can you push it up to 92, 95? Yes, you could. Yeah, Lou.
I have a couple questions. One, could you just clarify for me at a certain point in the video, you made a statement that you're required to not have more than 10 acres. Now, is that only on the non-farm side?
Correct.
Okay, so I just want to.
Well, no, on the farm side. On the farm side.
Farm side.
You're not allowed to generate. You're not allowed to take up more than 10 acres or whatever you can cram on there as far as solar. But typically, it's 4 to 6 acres per kilowatt or per megawatt. Okay.
The other thing was, before my last question, I just want to make a quick comment, spring something like you had said that, generally you pay about 15.
Well, the Board of Ed is paying 15 right now.
15 a kilowatt, you said, right?
Yeah.
15 cents a kilowatt?
Yeah, per kWh, yes.
Per kWh. So, and if we were to produce it ourselves, we're obviously wouldn't be paying anybody per kilowatt, it would be the cost of the infrastructure and whatnot.
Well, yeah, what happens is this, you have this initial cost of equipment, so you have to weigh all this into.
Right.
And when we run models, okay, what happens is we run a model, we figure out how much you guys are producing for the year, okay? And I think right now it's somewhere around 3 megawatts for the year, is that correct?
About 3.5 million.
3.5 megawatts a year, okay? So you're certainly using more than you could possibly fit on a farm, so that's a good thing. But also, you got the capital equipment outlay. If you buy it, which you would have to do if you're doing a farm, to get somebody to do a PPA, you might not, correct, John? You're not going to get anybody to do a PPA on a farm.
Well, a PPA the only way PPA works on a farm is, the only thing you would benefit would be the lease of the property.
Release the property, that's it.
An investor will come in and install it, he'll get the credit from the
Right,
grant, and he'll pay you leases for the property. That's
Yeah,
what it works. That's all.
and I'd be curious to see the analysis between owning it.
Well, that would be, if you folks want to go to the next step, we could certainly start putting models together for you. And, coming down, meeting, we have to get all your utility bills for all the schools and also the town because, I understand the joint ownership of the Wallish property. But you'd want to sit down and basically figure out how much this whole entire town consumes. If we're going to shoot for a farm, then you want to make sure you can sell every nickel of power you're generating to satisfy both
Well, I
ends.
think you just made a comment, you know, you just said that they're using 3 megawatts.
3.5.
3.5 megawatts, and you couldn't possibly have a farm big enough to even
Well,
satisfy.
we could put 4 pieces of property.
You
You've
could
got
have
one
4
piece.
separate
Yeah,
installations.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's
Yeah.
a way to get.
Yeah, you can
just
put
each individual piece.
Hypothetically, you could put 10 acres on Wallish, you could put half a megawatt on the high school, you could put, you know, a quarter of a megawatt in Upper Greenwood Lake School, so all total, you could maybe put 3-4 megawatts
Gotcha, okay.
throughout the district, you know, so.
Okay, and then the other would be like, so you mentioned that you would come in and do this now, so how do you get paid? Like, how does that work? Like,
John will go into that.
You'll get it.
John will go into that whole thing. It's part of it, yes.
Was there a bidding process or?
He'll explain the whole,
It has to be.
he'll go through the whole thing, under the ESIP. Yes.
So I want to make sure I understand this. I'm on the board at Wallish. You're talking about potentially no more than 10 acres. It's doable on top of wetlands because on a wetlands map, almost all of the property is on wetlands except for the area up by the house, which is the high ground in the field where the chestnuts are. So I'm assuming these things go up in the air.
They sit up on sticks. Yeah, I mean, what happens is they try to do the least amount of impervious material, so they drive in like a piece of iron into the ground until it stops. It's called refusal. And then they would basically build like a bleacher type device, as you saw.
But it's like 4 or 5 feet up in the air. There's flooding. In the
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. They get it out of the floodplain. If there's an established floodplain, we would look at that on the floodplain maps, on your floodplain maps, and we would put the lowest panel above the floodplain if there is that much. But there's also things called wetlands delineation too, where you can go in and delineate some wetland too. And, you know, you do a trade-off, you know, where, you know, I know that the Wallish property has some from the college, from the Rambleville College. They had done some wetland delineation down there. They said, all right, we're going to take this chunk of property and we're going to utilize it now, and then they have to do a wetlands delineation or a trade-off, and they did with the Wallish property.
Well, and Pennsylvania State came out and did wetland studies in order to determine where there's a grove of rare American chestnut trees. It's one of only 5 sites in the state of New Jersey for the American chestnut tree.
Okay.
And they determined that in all of Wallish, all 100 acres, there's only one, chestnuts can't take wet feet, and there's only one spot, and it's across from the field where you pointed out that, you know, you wanted to put some soccer field.
Again, the solar doesn't sit on the dirt. It's up in the air. It's above.
Okay, because I have a couple other questions. How far back from the road do these things have to be set back? I mean, there is a danger. You're working with electric equipment, and I know that firemen have been killed in other states,
They're fenced
like
in.
New Jersey.
They're all fenced in. We have the law says that if you're doing ground mount, it has to be fenced in.
I can't hear you.
It has to be fenced in.
They
so
have
that-
to be fenced.
Yeah.
Okay.
Currently, right now, Warwick is doing a 5.6 megawatt
Well,
system on the Sanford fields up off of 94 there, and that entire field will be fenced in so that children don't go in there. And you know, the actual panels themselves do not generate large voltages. They generate 12 volts, like a car battery. And then it goes to these inverters that kick it up to basically high voltages. So unless they actually get into the inverter, which are locked and sealed, the panels themselves, you know, I'm not going to say that they're not dangerous, but it's not like you can touch a wire, cut a wire, and, you know, and get electrocuted.
I'm only bringing it up because
No,
I
I
know firemen in other states have been killed.
Yeah.
If there's a fire involved in the vicinity, I think we should all be aware of that.
Oh, yeah, we're fully aware.
I actually saw something similar at the Doris Duke estate.
Correct.
They have a fabulous solar farm. The entire Doris Duke estate runs on power from one of these solar array type.
John's doing a project right now up in Columbia Press, up in Palisade. They're putting 2 megawatts up there on that big estate up there on the research center.
They have a special orchid greenhouse, very old, like 100-year-old glass orchid greenhouse. They run all the power from the
Right,
greenhouse.
right.
I mean, they have, it's a
I
phenomenal
mean, my thoughts,
clean energy program.
here's my thoughts about solar. You know, when I drive down the road and I see solar and it's sitting there and it's really not doing too much, then I ride down the road and I see a nuclear power plant generating nuclear waste, and then I drive down the turnpike and I see a coal generating plant, and I sit there and I weigh them out. Guess which one wins? You know?
So,
I mean, in terms of the fire, let me want me to address the whole concern about the electric and fire. So the project we're performing for Columbia University, we haven't started the installation yet, but it's due up shortly. we've had conversations, it's 2 municipalities in New York State, Orange County, and we've had conversations with the fire department. So what happens is you have the entire solar array would be fenced in with about a 25-foot barrier around for people to go in and service vehicles to go in and do what you have to do. The inverters that Joe speaks about, in this instance, we're going to install those inverters outside of that array and outside that fence, fenced in themselves with a kill switch. So should there ever be a fire or any concern, you'll kill the inverters. However, as you see online, the panels, if it's during the day, are still going to be generating power, sending power to that inverter. So the protocol that's in place now is a controlled burn. We don't even want the firemen to enter. We just want them, just let it burn. We don't care, let it burn. And then we'll address it from there. Hose it, make sure it doesn't spread, right? You got ground concerns, right, with grass and things like that, so it doesn't spread. Just control it.
The same thing
Don't
exists right now
kill
with
the
hybrid.
inverters, control it, so you're just Sorry.
Excuse me, guys. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Celeste, this was really an informational session for the board and the council. If you want any questions, you'll have a couple of minutes during petitions and requests, but if you could, you don't mind, just let the board and the council ask their questions, all right? I appreciate it, thank you.
The field at Waller Street you were talking about, how big is it?
We didn't do any studies of it yet, not yet. I mean, I was just asked to do an educational thing. So
Only
there's-
because it is brownfield,
Mhm.
and the one all the way back where the pipeline comes
Right.
across sculptures is brownfield.
Right.
Because
And that's all great. That would come out in an environmental impact study and also a
We
model.
have that.
So, that's good stuff to know. And again, if the board decides to go to the next step, or the town council decides to go, on some of their properties too, that would be our next step, to start digging in. So I'll let John talk, and then,
Hey, Joe, just one quick question. On
Yes.
the net metering aspect, is it a one-for-one? If you did something at the high school, you're the net metering there, and then at Macabin, the same thing? Or could you bundle all of them together for use and?
well, it depends on, I don't know how the structure is here. I'm sure they're under 3 different meters. So, yeah, we would kind of design. See, you can utilize the roof for the high school, and if you overproduce because it's too big of a roof, just say, you can trench back to this meter because it's that close. So we can theoretically put a solar thing up on the high school roof and just say it's producing more than that high school's using. We would take some of it and bring it over here, or bring it up to the middle school, because the middle school can't put anything on the roof because the structural support doesn't hold it. So we'd be just digging a hole in the ground and running a 4-inch conduit underground, and and putting it into that meter. So yes, you could.
The normal methodology is if you have one master meter for the district, then we can aggregate meters. But if they're all individual meters, then they will give you a harder time with regards to that. Separate interconnections to each meter.
But this is an ideal location because within 1/8 of a mile, you've got the Board of Ed building, you've got the middle school, the high school, this school, and the garage. So you've got a lot of potential of making meters run backwards just in this
Is
neighborhood.
that controlled by the utilities, or is that controlled more by the state? Is that something we can leverage?
Well, we're going to, we can try to leverage everything we want, We are in the Highlands, so me being a township resident, I hear the arguments every day about how can we get our tax base down. I mean, nobody wants it brought down more than I do, and it's definitely one thing we can have our mayor and council go twist, the people down the state, say, look, you got to help us, we need something. We're not doing nothing crazy here, we're putting solar panels up, so please help us. And, I'm sure they'll work with us, I'm sure they're going to work. So I'll turn it over to John Drumkowski, and he'll talk about ESIP.
We'll talk about ESIP. So John Drumkowski, I'm the account executive for Siemens Industry. My primary role is selling energy performance contracts, and in New Jersey, the legislation in place for that is ESIP, Energy Savings Improvement Program. ESIP was enacted about 6 years ago now, 2009, 2010. I'll get into some particulars with regards to how many projects are online and where that whole legislation is going and what's going on. Before I get into details of ESIP, I just want to let me touch on solar a little bit more with regards to how solar could work under ESIP. So Joe spoke about a solar farm. Joe spoke about PPA. I'll speak towards solar under ESIP. So there's the opportunity under this ESIP program, you can implement solar as well. And it would be housed underneath this along with other energy savings measures. So we would do what we call a bundled solution, other energy savings measures, including solar, and it would all be funded through this ESIP program. Okay. How it works. So we implement what we call ECMs, energy conservation measures. How they work are, it's pretty simple. Energy conservation measure could be simple as lighting. We commonly do an energy upgrade with the lights. The savings generated from that improvement will be utilized to pay for the debt service over time. So in New Jersey, under ESIP, you're allowed to term the program 15 years. Standard legislation allows you to go financing for 15 years. The tried and true method of financing in ESIP in New Jersey is you could float a bond. There's no referendum required. Float a bond, or you can go the standard method, which is a municipal lease. So they're the two standard, or you can use cash, which most people are not going to use cash. So, but they're the three options you have. One little curve you have is if you can install combined heat and power. I don't know if anyone knows cogeneration. If you can install CHP system somewhere, and we can get it to run for 5,000 hours a year minimum to meet efficiency standards, we can extend the term of the program from 15 to 20 years. I'll get into that in a second. So what does that do? We get to expand the savings on all measures from 15 to 20 years, not just for one. So that can help increase the size of the project and also give us more work to do. So how it works now, let's just talk high level in terms of, when I talk about lights. Say you spend $1 million a year now in your existing budget. ESIP works within your existing budget. You're already spending the money. You spend $1 million, I come in and I say, we're going to implement a number of these measures, lights, boilers, air conditioners, windows, building envelope, whatever. I'm going to save you 20%. That 20% that I save you from your existing budget, which you're already spending, gets deferred to pay the debt service. So we're not asking for additional debt or capital. You're already spending that money. It's already on your budget. We're going to take that 20%. We're going to defer that over time. And like I said, we go 15 to 20 years if we can possibly to do that. Some additional measures here. Lighting. Water savings can be done, but that's considered a capital measure. With ESIP, there's the opportunity to implement non-energy savings projects, straight capital, meaning there's measures that you may want to do that don't generate any energy savings. You can do up to 15% straight capital measures under this program as well. They just have to be financed differently and separately. Steps, how to develop the project. The first step, and I looked, so the Board of Public Utilities has a full oversight over the ESIP program, the BPU. On their website, they have all the details of all the municipalities and school boards have performed what they call an LGEA, Local Government Energy Audit. That's technically in our world, our energy world, that's like an ASHRAE level 2 energy audit. It's not a full detailed audit, which would be level 3, but it's enough detail for people to understand that there's actually an opportunity available and what the magnitude of the project could potentially be. Under New Jersey legislation, when you see the word here, ESCO, Siemens is an energy service company, that's what ESCO is, that's when you see ESCO. We're not allowed to perform that preliminary audit. So there's a third party that has to perform that preliminary audit for a municipality or the school board. Up until this year, there were 4 or 5 vendors that were approved that you would compete to perform this prelim audit across the buildings. You would select them, you put an RFP out, you select them. However, I noticed that some changes this year. I think there's only one vendor now. I think it's TRC, who handles all of these LGEAs. So step 1 is, and I looked on the BPU website, I don't think West Milford has performed an LGA, unless I'm wrong. I didn't see if they didn't update the website, but I don't know that. I don't think you've done a prelim audit LGA. So that would have to be step 1. You would have to call the BPU and have them come in and have this vendor come in and perform this LGEA audit. So at least you have a prelim, and that sets the baseline for exactly what you feel in terms of energy reduction can be performed here throughout the district. Okay. The next step would be you have to hire an ESCO or mechanical engineer to perform the work. And I'm going to jump into the next slide because this whole presentation is what Mike Tooley presented at the League of Municipalities this past year. So this is just verbatim what Mike spoke towards from the BPU. So Mike Tooley is in charge of the program. So I didn't want to change anything I have what he has here, but I'd like to explain it a little differently because he's kind of jumping the gun with these steps. I spoke about the options. Okay. There's 3 options you have with regards to moving forward to implement an ESIP project now. The first is the standard energy service company model, where you would put out an RFP. That RFP, which is a standard document that the BPU has put together now on their website that everyone uses, is a standard RFP doc. You would attach this prelim audit, this LGA audit to that RFP, and you would submit that to the ESCOs that are approved in the state through the State Department of Management and Construction as ESCO classification. That's the first model. So you would submit that. The ESCOs would submit their offering, what type of project, how large a project they could put together. You would meet, we would have interviews, you would select the ESCO, and then from there the ESCO would move forward and develop the final, what they call energy master plan, and then move forward to be able to go to construction. That's the first option. There's actually 3 options now that the BPU has presented to us. The second option is the do-it-yourself model, where you can name someone in a town or on a board that you feel is competent enough to handle and run and manage an energy service upgrade program. And then go out and hire a consultant to develop this final detailed energy master plan, and then go to contract and put bid specs together, hire an engineer or somebody to put the bid specs together and bid it. But you would run it and you would construct and manage it, right? You would have to handle it all the time. So that's the second option. The third option is what they come out with now, they call a hybrid model, where there's an ESCO and there's a consultant involved. So basically look at it like this. You have the Board of Ed, you would have the ESCO here, and in the middle we would have an architect or engineer who would act as the owner's rep to the Board of Ed to help level, review all the responses from the ESCOs, and then make recommendations to the board and help make that determination. So that model has been utilized on some other districts of late as well. So maybe you have an existing relationship with an architect or engineer. I'm not sure if they've been involved in ESIP, but that's the third model that's come out of late. So there are the 3 approaches. What we find personally is the cleanest approach would be just to use the standard ESCO model. Because under this model, we still have to account for engineering fees. All fees and all subcontractors are open bid under New Jersey public law, open public law. So, you would see if you looked at the RFP, the pricing sheets are all in there with regards to markups and what everyone makes and then how it all goes forward. So in this case here, you wouldn't have to pay the consultant in the middle to do all this work, as long as you felt comfortable enough as a board to be able to level and look at these responses, right, and to make a decision. So that's what most boards have to determine what they want to do or not do. So do it yourself, I'd say, has been done maybe a handful of times, a couple times. It's either been the ESCO direct or the hybrid approach.
One other question.
Yeah, go ahead. Jump in.
On the spot.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about different options on how to go about the installation or how to go through the process, right?
Yeah.
In-house or otherwise. The question is, though, now all this cost, is that inclusive of, and I know you didn't give specific numbers, all inclusive of that 20% of, let's say, that $1 million that you're already spending? So when you said that you would be, amortizing the debt over 20, 30 years or whatever, that would be inclusive of all these costs that we're talking about right now?
Correct.
And then the other one, sorry.
It has to be.
It might sound like a stupid question, but when you're talking about $1 million, let's say, right? And 20% would go towards paying the debt for all the costs. But is there an assumed, if the other 80% is the savings already? Or are we still spending 80%? Like I'm just trying to figure out.
You're still paying, so what's going to happen?
Still paying that 80% to.
Yeah. You're still paying that 80% to the utility company, right? So if we save 20%, that 80% is still getting written out. That check's still going to the utility company. And it's just the 20% that we would take and utilize for the debt service. Because it actually be savings, but we're going to say we're going to take that. It's savings, but we're going to say we're taking that savings.
Look at it from this way, Bruce. If I'm going to save you on this hypothetical, $1 million project, if I'm going to save you $200,000 a year, stretch that out over a 10-year or 15-year payout, that's 15 times 200. That's $3 million worth of work we can do for free. It doesn't cost you nothing. Because
I'm just trying to
you've
see
already
the
spent
savings,
it.
right?
You've already
I'm just trying
spent
to see the savings.
Now after that term, all that savings is now going to come in your pocket. Okay.
So in normal scenario, so in terms of savings, the question is, do we see anything in our pocket, right? I mean, let's be realistic, right? So in our world, we talk about percentage of savings per measure. When I said ECM, right, energy conservation measure. So we'll look at each one of those measures. Ultimately, we're a conservative company. So ultimately, we'll gauge anticipated savings less than 100%. And we're probably in the 90 to 95% range. So what does that say? We're going to take what we're going to take. For debt service, the expectation is normally you would probably see 5% in your pocket from day one. It depends on how many measures and what percentage of savings we would
Right, and that's really where I'm just curious, and obviously the analysis would ultimately determine that. But would it go up, would it go down, does it fluctuate, is it 5%, is it a hard number, is it less, you know?
So under this energy performance contract, the good thing is, listen, we guarantee savings, right? So, and we don't guarantee, and we're a huge corporation, right? We don't guarantee the savings with an insurance policy. So under this ESIP program, you have the option in New Jersey to take a guarantee or not. I mean, listen, I suggest if you were to do it, you take the guarantee. If something ever went wrong, we do what we call a measurement and verification every year. Someone needs to do it. You do it every year. You say, okay, here's what happened. We met the savings. We didn't meet the savings. If there's a shortfall, then the Siemens Corporation is going to cut a check.
Write you a check.
For shortfall.
For shortfall.
And then we're going to try to figure out what we're wrong and try to remedy the problem, obviously, right? But we're going to cut a check. You know, we have a line item on our balance sheet for these projects to cover the costs for guarantees. So that's how it works. But is there opportunity to see a few bucks from day one? Yes. And then obviously the life cycle of this equipment is longer than 15 years, most of them. So when that debt service is over, you would reap the benefits of 100% of most of those savings, right?
Is that likely with the time of the equipment?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's all depicted in the response.
Gotcha.
See, when you sit down after you do the audit and everything, you know, you might not want to stretch out a project to 15 years. The board may say that our simple payback, we don't want to go past 8 years. So we would take 25 FIMs. A FIM is an acronym for Facility Improvement Measure. We might take 25 FIMs and figure out what the cost is for each FIM, bundle them all up, and then say, okay, well, this one's got a 10-year payback, this got a 4-year payback, this got a 2. Add them all up, and you guys want only an 8-year payback? Well, guess what? We're only going to do 7 FIMs versus 30. And, you know, so you get your payback in 7 years based on that project. So, you know, it's customized to a certain extent, but it is a good thing because I know the town's, you know, struggling with taxes. I know the school needs windows. I know the school needs boilers. I know the lighting project. Lighting is a huge payback, less than a year. So that's a monstrous project that, you know, whatever you're paying for lights right now, you can pay back in less than a year on the lighting. But you don't want to throw that away because you want to take that and put that in with a 20-year project so that you can kind of drive down, you know, the larger project so it comes something palatable, you know, at the end, you know, that you're...
So there's multi-tiered benefits?
Yes, correct.
Question for you.
Yeah.
The solar, in the past 10 years, how much have the technologies changed?
So the manufacturer, polycrystalline, there's a couple different types of panels, right? They've changed a little. The efficiencies have improved. Believe it or not, solar panels efficiency is only like a 20% range for transfer of power.
How much has
sun.
the efficiency improved in the past 5 years compared to 10 years ago?
Single percentage points. In the last 5 years, single. Yeah, not huge. There's not been anything huge. So we're in the 20s. We were probably, you know, high teens 10 years ago, and now we're in the 20s in terms of...
Typically, you know, 20 years ago, a panel would produce maybe, 180 watts. Now you can get panels with 250 out of one panel, or 350 for some of the military panels.
So what I'm getting at is, that, you know, once you're committed to this in a 15-year term, in another 5 years,
that's where...
there's a pay, you know, it's one of those things you got to, you know, wait.
You gotta wait out.
Technology is advancing so much.
Right.
There's a pay to wait another 5 years because you're making a huge commitment.
Yeah, I mean, so that's where ESIP kind of is helpful there, because under this ESIP program, you're probably not going to be able to do all the solar you would want to do. It has to fit in the blend, right? Joe spoke about the blend, these measures. So it would have to fit. What we could put in there still has to fit in with the lights, the boilers, and all this other stuff, so that at the end it comes up with the right payback. So from that perspective, you can probably get a good head start and then determine from there. With regards to technology and things like that, that's why a lot of people, although there's some risk to a PPA, a lot of people like to stay with the PPA. Because you know what they say? It's the investor's problem. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to take my credit. You make a few bucks a year. You know what? In 5 or 10 years, if they come out with cold fusion, he's going to come put it in anyway. He's going to come rip those panels out. Because he's going to just redo this whole thing and try to save more or do something else for you. He'll be happy to do that. So, and it's not on your dime and you're not committed for that long term. So from that perspective, yeah, it's 6 in one, half a dozen the other. You would have to make the determination. Listen, these are long-term commitments, right? We're talking under ESIP, you're talking a minimum 15
It's like, John and I have been doing this for Siemens for 17 years, okay? Boiler efficiencies, okay? Boilers, when we first started, 82, 85%. You can buy 96% of boilers now, okay? A boiler that used to be as big as your car comes in a box this big now. Right through the door on a hand truck. 3 million BTUs. So, it's like anything, that laptop's outdated the day you walk out the door with it,
Now, under ESIP, you can do phase 2 and a phase 3. So you're open to, say, down the road, do some additional measures, right? 5 years from now, we have multiple projects where we're on phase 2s and phase 3s. So it's not necessarily going to take everything on in one fell swoop. You're going to talk about phasing anyway, so that's where you may be able to say, alternate technologies have changed, and we can talk about that going forward 5 years from now, 7 years.
That is amazing, that the solar itself, the solar panels haven't advanced that much, because I remember having this conversation 5 years ago, and I'm sure
the size
5 years ago, because that would be 5 years already.
The size. Listen, the size and the cost, right? We know the outputs have increased. That's for sure. The efficiencies have increased a little bit, and then the cost obviously has come way down. So,
the whole thing about the ESIP program is you develop a partnership with whoever contractor it is that you're with, because you are married to that person for the next 10 or 15 years. Because they got a checkbook. If your program goes bad, they're going to be writing you out a check. So it is a partnership, and you work together to try and develop additional phase 2s and phase 3s, so that, the school's not putting out any more. You're capping your expenditure and you're reducing it, and in the end, you will see some improvements, in 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, where you'll see that more.
Your example, $1 million investment, 200,000, savings per year. Somebody's got to pay the $1 million cash up front. We're issuing a bond to do that.
you don't have to pass a referendum for this. You could float a bond to the entire program.
In which case we would have to pass a referendum.
No.
All right. But either way, we're issuing a bond.
Or,
does that count against our credit rating?
No. On this program, no. So the standard methodology is not the bond. It's a municipal lease.
Most Siemens being this huge corporation that can issue bonds at AAA rate, so on and so forth, would you?
We would have our finance partners, Siemens Financial Services, entertain the bond and have conversations. And at a minimum, here's what we'd be able to do. At a minimum, we could have those conversations and have our personnel get involved. And if they're not involved and don't want to partake, then they can go out and help compete and get the best.
Normally, you don't do that.
No, 99% of what we write in New York, New Jersey, and whatnot, they're municipal leases. That's the standard methodology for an energy savings project, not a
Do you have a program where we would put the thing in and you would be the owner and lease back? So you become the
No. We could talk about getting us involved, but no, it's usually third party. That would write.
Do you know what the current ITC rates in New Jersey? They used to be very generous. I know they've gone down a lot.
Yeah, like bonds. Bonds we know, right? I think they're probably in the 3 range, mid 2.5, 3.
No, the interest rate, but the investment tax credit.
Oh, the investment tax. Well, investment tax credit for solar.
We don't get anything.
No, you don't get
You would lose 30%.
But if a private corporation owns it,
30%
back to us, there isn't a solar credit.
That's what Joe mentioned. That's a big impact. You lose 30%.
30% is the tax credit.
30%. 30%.
The town can't take it, and nor can the Board of Ed, because you don't pay taxes. But
So
a
it's a
corporation, yes.
Yeah,
You
it's
get
a big
30%
issue on
credit.
the solar side.
Thank you.
No, we had something here.
On your plan A, B, and C,
Yeah.
whatever the cost is, even if it was $1 million to each one, what is the if you know it, the percentage of the soft cost on each?
That's all broken out in the RFP. So they ask for overhead and profit, basically. They don't really ask for soft costs, the state.
Engineering, so.
Engineering varies. So engineering, it depends on how detailed you're getting, right? You've got to put a bid spec together, right? These subtrades all have to get bid out. So engineering has to handle that. So it's not like, I look at a project and I say, lights, you can do it typical. You don't have to go crazy with engineering, right? But if you're going to replace a boiler, we've got to do a more detailed design, right? Drawing. So I look at it that way, but the issue here is we still have to put a full bid spec together. So the engineering is still going to be up there. The engineering will probably be on the low end 3-4% of the project, and on the high end probably 6 or 7.
But Ada, that's all
That's what I would
absorbed
say.
into that $200,000 saving, the 20%. That's all built in there. That gets back to where I said, you sit down with the customer yourselves, and you sit there and look at all the fins that we've generated based on the audit, and we come up with some kind of rough costs so that we can sit, okay, you know what? Maybe we don't want to do the boilers because the school's got hypothetically a lot of asbestos. So, the remediation could be millions of dollars just in that itself. So certain things you look at, you got to look at a lot of things. So, it's...
And with regards to that question, so the item here where it says no negative cash flow, right, in our responses, all of the energy service companies, in the response, we have to put a cash flow pro forma together. So we cannot be negative in any one year. We've got to be positive every single year of the full term, 15 or 20 years. We can't have a negative cash flow in any one given year. So when you ask costs, right, those costs are going to be built in. So you're going to see what we're carrying in our model for those costs and understand what impact it's having on your cash flow on an annual basis over the whole term.
So let me then slightly rephrase it. You gave us 3 plans,
Yeah.
3 possibilities. You're the experts here. If you were sitting where we are, which of the 3?
Well, the bulk of it's the A. Most people go with the A portion because it just increases the other 2 increase your costs.
Let's put it this way.
That's what I was asking.
In other states, like New York State, it's A. You select a partner of the energy service company up front, and then you run with them to develop and finalize the project. What we find is the hybrid model, you may want to pay in a little bit more, because what happens is the consultant comes in and he just says, I want a flat fee, 5-7% of the whole project. Whether he does that much work or not, it remains to be seen, but they usually put a flat fee in to cover themselves. And we find that sometimes you probably may be paying a few bucks more than you should. That's all.
You try to stay with a reputable outfit. I mean, we've got a Siemens as one company that does this. We've got a portfolio that'll fill up this room. We're 165 years old. We're not going anywhere. So you try to stay away from the public service got twisted around the axle a couple years ago where they had purchased a whole bunch of companies and they're all gone now. They're all gone. So you got to be careful about you trying to.
So being the expert, you would say Plan A.
Plan A. But
yeah, I mean, listen, the biggest concern from the municipality board side is they feel comfortable enough to be able to take these responses and review them. I mean, you might be able to take a consultant on just to help review those responses and not use the hybrid model. Just have somebody come in and help take a look at it with you, right, if you're not comfortable enough to make the decision on your own. But that's really the main reason why you would bring a consultant in, review those responses and help make that determination of who to select. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a clarification. With these projects, you have a guaranteed buyer for electricity because it's been presented, actually it was at a Walsh meeting, that like, if you don't do this now, somebody down the street's going to do it, knock you out of the box. That's not true.
In terms of the solar you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, there's no fear selling, right? Yeah, and that's the last thing we're going to do is come in here and talk about fear.
How it was presented to us.
I would ask the Friends of Walsh to hold off. This is for the board and the town council. This isn't for you guys to ask questions. This is for the 2 governing bodies. So if we could please hold off on the questions, I would appreciate it. You'll have an opportunity shortly.
Okay, and in a little more details as the program would move forward. So you would pick you would have to do a prelim audit, right? Let's keep it simple. We do that preliminary audit through the BPU. Then you would put this RFP together, whichever of the options, the 3 options, whichever model you want to use, good. We do that, put it out. You select this energy service company. After you select the energy service company, what happens is they take that prelim audit and they bring it to fruition. We basically say, we're going to take this and now we're going to come back to you with a final stamped, sealed, guaranteed project and program. Okay, so we're going to say, here's what we've said there, here's what it's actually going to be that we'll guarantee. At that point, once that's developed, it's called the Energy Savings Plan. That's where they, under New Jersey legislation, they want the board or municipality to have a third party review that and say they're okay with it. So basically somebody to check us and check our calculations, check our math, say it's okay. Then at that point, if they say okay, then you send it to the BPU. The BPU looks at it, they give you a thumbs up. Then we would move forward and say, let's go with contract, and then move forward into implementation, construction, and then once construction and commissioning are completed, you would move forward into what we call the measurement verification, which we spoke about. And the expectation in Jersey is it's your decision on how long you would like to do this measurement verification. You can say just do it year 1, and then we'll understand that we feel comfortable going forward the rest of the term. You can say, we only want to do it for 3 years, 5 years, or you can say, how much is it supposed to do for the whole term? So it's your option.
Ultimately, then, the goal is doing this ESOP or ESIP.
Yeah.
So we're going to reduce before we start producing electricity.
That's it. That's what we say. We have our acronym RPP: reduce, produce, procure. So
because for instance, if we utilize the roof at the high school,
that's right,
and some other fields that we have, and we produce, say, 2 megawatts of electricity.
Exactly.
But if we can reduce by 600,000 or 700,000,
right,
or more,
correct,
then that's really where, as you were referring to, Lou, is really where a lot of our savings are going to come from.
And now your solar, your renewables can take over a larger percentage of your load,
Correct.
right? So
Correct.
reduce your demand side, and now build your renewables, and now instead of taking over 10% of the load, you can take over 15%, 20%, whatever it might be. So now you can start saying, hey, we're definitely more green, we're more renewable. Now that solar farm or that solar panel system on the roof is worth X amount of dollars more because now we're generating more power.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, from your experience, has the level 2 to level 3 audit produced any more savings than the other?
It's more fine tuning and massaging. You usually won't see huge variations, no, but it's just a little more detail. And it's us really just doing a deeper dive, spending more time, and weeding out and vetting out each and every component. Because understand, under the prelim, it's like, okay, we're going to put a new boiler in. We'll put this, high level. Okay, throw this boiler in. It's 93% efficient. Well, during the under this IGA, this level 3, we're going to say, wait, we don't want to use 93. We're going to use 96 or 97. So we're going to do a little something different, so we can pick up a little bit, right? So it's really taken into finale.
Fine tuning.
But yeah, you're going to see 20, 30%, probably, in my experience now.
The cogen plant you talked about for this barrel field, this fields or whatever, what would be the annual potential earning for that kind of production?
I don't know how much gas is up there. So, see, the thing with cogen is this. Ideally, the rule, I've done a lot of cogen plants, and ideally, you can generate power if you buy the gas for about 4 cents a kilowatt. So, you're paying 15, you're generating it for 4 cents, it's a win, right? But also, the byproduct of a cogen plant is hot water. Okay, so that's free. It would normally just go to the atmosphere. So if you've got a school that's got a swimming pool, you got a school that runs on hot water, you take all that hot water and you stick it into the boiler system. So now the cogen plant is making electricity at 4 cents, plus you're getting free hot water. So your savings is on the electrical side, but also your savings is on the hot water that the gas that you're using to pay for there. But if you don't utilize all of the byproducts of a cogen plant, the hot water being one of them, then you got to look at other things. Can I get free fuel? Well, we certainly can from Farrell Field. How much? I don't know. We didn't study it, but you would have an organization come in and do that. Do an audit and figure out how much gas is there for how many years. And once you figure that out, then it's a real win situation because I'm generating free power. I still got a byproduct. Farrell Field would be kind of rough. What would you do with the hot water? Really nothing. But if I can generate a megawatt for free and sell it, why not? Why not? That's the biggest thing. I did 17 cogen plants for Pemex, for Petroleum Mexico, based on free fuel. So, and it was a win-win situation for them.
That would be a totally separate track. So under ESIP, we can do we can do cogen CHP, but it's going to be smaller scale. Joe's talking megawatt there, 2 megawatt. Under ESIP, you're talking maybe 100 kilowatts, 7,500 kilowatts. So we would install it at school or somewhere there and try to make efficiencies, and then maybe try to extend the term of this program from 15 to 20 years.
So that would help to have a cogen plant with one of those other plants, right?
No, what the larger scale that Joe's talking about, more likely that would go into the grid. See, what we would put in under the ZSIP program, it's going to go into this one building and dump into your building.
That's the only viable project here in town because none of you guys do not use hot water here for a swimming pool or therapeutic baths or things like that. So it would not be a good candidate for any of the school processes here. If it was a hospital with, physical therapy, John and I did a big project at Burke Rehab up in White Plains. They had all these therapeutic baths, and so the cogen plant was generating all kinds of heat, and so, there's a good situation. But again, putting in Farrell Field would be a great opportunity because it's free fuel, and just keep pounding the electricity into the grid and sell it. Sell it for as much as you can get for it.
Similar to the solar farm, right? That's what we would say for something like that. That's a separate track.
Yeah, separate track.
Okay.
That wouldn't run under an ESIP program. That would just be something, that's a thing that was kind of in the back of my mind. I'll go off key, I'll talk to you about cogen every day of the week.
All right, thank you. Okay, so to wrap up ESIP, so as I stated, where BPU has full jurisdiction, they have full oversight of the whole program. So basically, they're there from start to finish. They're your go-to guys. Mike Tulene, Ed Mercer, they're your main contacts at the BPU. As I stated earlier, they perform now, I think, over 2,400 buildings. This LGA audit, I think over 400 entities have actually taken advantage of this audit. This audit is paid for by the BPU. I mean, it's 90% paid for this original audit, and as long as you move forward with ESIP, they pick up the remaining 10%. So that's how it works. It's a no-brainer. If anything, you have it done so you can at least see what we call a benchmark and understand where you compare it to some of your peers. How efficient is each one of these buildings compared to your peers? Which is the biggest energy hog in the district? You can see by just looking at utility bills, that's fine. But you want to understand some other things about why, right? So you can kind of see why and maybe understand what maybe some things you can do. So if anything, at least you get that benchmark, you get that audit performed, and you come talk to a couple of the wrench heads like us, and we can tell you, explain a little bit more about it.
Like John said, it's free. They cover 90% of it. So you might want to take advantage of that situation because we don't see that it was ever done on the website. So in this town.
An energy audit.
An LG.
It's called the LGEA. I have links on the back of this, you'll see, of where to go to find information about the LGEA, and Mike Tune's contact information at Mercer. It's all here on the last slide, so we'll have that here. So
That's money well spent, because they will come down and, like John said, they'll come in here and they'll send a bunch of folks in here, and they'll sit there and they'll come in and say, lighting, boilers, windows, everything.
This year is what's, some people scratch their head. I mean, you have like 40 or so projects, I think, that 40 to 50 projects now that have hit the street in 5 or 6 years. It's not a lot. It first came out, and when it first came out, not to belabor it, when it first came out, they were relying on the districts, the municipalities, to come up with their own RFP. So everybody was having a different language and this and that, and paying people, and after like a year or two, they finally said, wait, hang on. So they pushed everything to the BPU. The BPU came up with standard documentation. So things have gotten a lot better. Things are starting to shake loose. We've got a lot of RFPs that hit the street, and the expectations going forward. There's a lot of these audits that are sitting on the shelf collecting dust that people need to start to talk about acting upon. And it's really that simple.
What would be the cost then of that, doing an LGEA? You said, did I hear you right, say 90% is...
Correct.
BPU does pays for 90.
So the BPU, I would say call Mike Tulene because like I said, they just changed it, where now there's really only one vendor that does it. TRC, I think, is actually who does the audits now. And I would chat with him. He can give you more details. In the past, it was bid out. And I know these 4 or 5 vendors would bid and compete against each other, and they would bid on a price per square foot, pennies, in the 10 to 20 cent range per square foot, I guess, is what I can tell you. That's roughly what it would be. Now, I can't say. There's one vendor, I don't know if they have a standardized pricing sheet now, Mike, or not, what he's come up with.
But the worst case is, right now, the way it's stands, you'd be stuck with paying 10% of that entire cost of that audit. And if you went ahead with an ESIP, then you wouldn't pay anything. It's covered.
Okay.
So, but it's worth doing because you know where you are.
Yeah, if we do the LGEA,
It's a
10%
benchmark.
that we do put out, would then be covered under the ESIP.
Yes.
Okay.
And then understand, any and all incentives get rolled up under this ESIP, right, to help improve the cash flow and the paybacks. So any incentives that can be procured through the state, pay for performance programs or anything else, that's all determined under this audit. It will be discussed during this LGA and then obviously finalized under this final detailed investment grade audit. So that's all worked into the numbers as well. So any and all incentives available are part of the project as well. And then here's what I said. So you've got the link to start the audit. I hope these are all still good links. Mike just did this in I think November or whatever. So These are the links. So that's the link to talk about how you get forward to start this LGA, right? That's the audit. Here's the boilerplate for the RFP, as I discussed. And we have it. You have this on the computer now.
We loaded this on the
loaded on
computer.
here, so it's on the home
It's
screen.
on the desktop.
So these obviously, step one, take a look at this, and I would say take a look at this, and then also reach out to Mike, right, or Ed Mercer, if you know these guys in DPU. They're the guys you want to have a quick conversation with and chat about it. Okay? And then the RFP, that's standard. I mean, I could send you an RFP too, but it's a standard document. And then here's some links for incentives for clean energy you can talk about, so that's the solar incentives. Here's some information about the whole program, and here's an actual link to the legislation itself. And then down here you'll see, right, link to Lean, and then Gary Finger and Carl. So Mike is the main go-to guy. If you don't get a hold of Mike, I would say you go to Ed Mercer. So I know it's a lot, and it kind of compounded the solar a little bit, but I think from everyone's perspective, they understand that there's this other opportunity to reduce. Yeah. And then talk about going for it. All right.
Anybody on the council have any other questions? No? Okay. Well, I go.
In addition to the solar panels, does the ESIP take into account combining it with other things like wind turbines or something like that? If there's an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, we could try to work anything in. It's a financial model. It's just got a cash flow, and we can work it in. Now, understand, when we put solar into ESIP, we can't take SREC credits into the cash flow. So there's stipulations with ESIP that we can't do. It's really going to stand on its own. Cost and savings, and then get blended up and in. So there's some penalties, like we talked about the 30% you can't take, but that's another penalty under ESIP where you can't take that SREC stream into the cash flow.
But yeah, there are a lot of...
You can still get them down the road,
Yeah.
but we can't bake them into our models to say, here's how sexy this thing looks, right? We can't, they don't want us to do that. So.
You can do wind turbines, you can do a lot of stuff. You can, cogen plants are ideal, that's what they want. They want those things because they're highly efficient. But the solar and the wind stuff, you're going to have some problems up here. I know living in town, unless you get up on top of a mountain with the thermals. Yeah. I mean, there's different types of solar, there's different types of wind now too. Everybody thinks of it as this giant propeller. And hey, we make the largest wind turbine in the world. We have wind props that are 265 feet in diameter. Okay, and they only spin 2 RPMs. But they're generating 4 megawatts these days. But they have screws. Did you ever see the helical screws? They look like a little tiny screw that spins around. It's only about 4 feet in diameter. But so there's tons of things. I mean, it's a model. Like John said, it's a model. You got to put it all together. It's a whole big puzzle. And then you sit down with everybody and you go over it and you figure out what's going to be the best and the best payback. It's on this laptop.
They saved it right on the laptop, so you guys can distribute it there. You guys can distribute it.
Yeah, that's our computer.
That's your computer.
It's your computer. And we can send electronic if you guys also want to, but it's here.
Yeah.
Saved it on the desktop.
If you want, I can forward it to Mr. Novak. I know he's the only email I know right now, but I can forward it to him or whoever.
Do you guys?
I mean, I can bring it to his house.
Do you guys want a copy of it?
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Wow, we're good, right, guys? All right.
Well, we hope we helped you out and gave you some kind of insight, that's what it's all about, it's making sure everybody's educated, have some kind of idea of what's out there and what programs are out there. We hope
Can we make sure we send a copy to the town
it's ways to good use.
clerk, I guess, to
Yeah.
distribute? Okay.
All right?
Well, Lou, Tim, Ada, we'll also send a copy of this presentation to Antoinette. All right? Yeah, no. Thank you for coming. It's been a learning experience for sure. I think that, oh yeah, no, it definitely has been.
Yeah, we don't expect that you have, you'll have more questions, right, as you sit and talk through things, so feel free to reach out to us, we're happy to come sit and discuss things further, and get into maybe some greater detail, but I gave you enough information here where you can start to maybe know more about it.
Okay.
One question is card on that corner.
Please, Joe.
Anybody wants to email me if you got questions, John, I've been more than happy to help.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want, I'll just do the whole thing from here.
Go ahead, Ada.
before you dismiss them and you open to the public?
Petitions and requests?
Well, I think that's next on the agenda.
Okay, all right. Yes, it is. All right. If you guys don't mind hanging around just for a few minutes in case, you know, I thank you, guys. I think that, I don't know about you guys, but I think that was well worth our time hearing.
Yeah.
I think Joe made it simple to understand, because I was very confused, and tonight I'm not so confused.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, petitioners who have requested to speak prior to the meeting will be first with 5 minutes for each petitioner for a period of 30 minutes. And then, time permitting, other petitions and requests limited to 5 minutes per petitioner will be allowed until a 30-minute period transpires. Petitioners speaking during petitions and requests are asked to address topics listed in the agenda. All speakers are asked to give their full name, spell their last name, provide their address. Speakers may not use the names of students during petitions and requests. Barbara, has anybody requested to speak? Okay. So I will now open it up to the public. Anybody have any questions? Sir, if you would come up to the podium. Thank you.
My name is Robert Moss, MOSS. I do live in Bloomfield, but I am an open space advocate for New Jersey. I have, I think, two questions. Part of the property, part of the wetlands are encumbered by a wetlands mitigation agreement. I believe that was from Ramapo College. I didn't bring the details because I just wanted to just raise this.
We're aware.
Okay, so you have that.
We know.
And is it possible to find out what the restrictions are on West Milford Township's 50% of the property? I couldn't find a deed for that in Patterson the other day.
It's in the wills. You would have to reach out to town hall.
Yeah, okay, I can do that. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else like to speak? Celeste, you got center stage. I said you got center stage.
So I'm just speaking as Celeste Hampton and not as a member of the board of the Friends of Wallace Homestead. But as a taxpayer, I'm really interested because I'm all for saving money. And this project doesn't hurt anyone. It doesn't hurt any wildlife in any way. If it were to come to Wallace, it's clean energy. It has revenue generating potential that can help Wallace with other needed projects such as public facilities like bathrooms. I'd like to point out that in doing my homework, in Europe, they're using a lot of these solar arrays in conjunction with restoration of native flowers and natural pollinators. They're putting beehives in the fencing that goes around the arrays. It's clean, it's green. For Wallace in particular, it seems to be a plan that might help us remediate some of the lead contamination issues. It can be tucked away in the back of the wetlands where it's really not too obvious to the public that it's even there, where it doesn't physically detract. One of my concerns was this is going to look hideous right next to these beautiful antique buildings with that fabulous windmill, which is a very unique windmill. It's not just any old windmill. It's actually, people have come all the way from Ohio just to see that structure there. So it doesn't detract from the historic aspect of the buildings. And in my opinion, Wallace has always been a farm in West Milford. And because of the wetlands, I followed the entire process of the library. Back when the library, there was some land that was set aside for the for the new library to be built, which has been built elsewhere. Why? Because it's wet. You can't build on wetlands in New Jersey. So what are you going to do with this? Now, solar farming is farming. We're modern people, and our needs have changed from the last 100 years, and it's farming. But you don't have any staff for farmers anymore. There's not too many folks that like to do actual real farming anymore. I think I'm one of the last holdouts. You don't need farmers for this. It stands by itself. Doesn't take staff, is what I'm saying. And so, from that standpoint, it seems to be good. But what I'm just going to remind you that any mutual project of such a huge nature as this one, we're all going to have to work together, and we're all going to have to meet the requirements of the will. And from my understanding of the will, and the attorney isn't here for me to double check, I'm sorry, but my understanding is it's going to have to meet an educational need for this to work. So are you guys going to be willing to pay for, some sort of board that, shows what a solar array is? And you might need to think about that as you're going through the machinations of a project, if it's going to happen at Walsh. But I think it would make a cool demonstration exhibit. That was farming then, this is farming now. Something like that. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Celeste. Anybody else like to speak? Mrs. Huber?
Maybe you'll hear me without it. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay.
you hear you now.
This thing is going to fall. Okay. I'll just hold it. At the March 1st board meeting, as most of you know, it was a very emotionally charged meeting because there was a lot of discussion about bullying, and parents and students spoke. It was the most watched board meeting video in the last few years also. So people out there are interested, even though they weren't at the meeting, they want to know what's going on. At that meeting, Mr. Foodie told the public that the board had been very preoccupied and focused on a superintendent search, but that he and the board members took bullying very seriously, and that he had been contacted by numerous parents and had heard about some of the things that were going on in the district, and he was not pleased. So it's been about almost a year, and the question that I have, and I think other parents and the public have, is what exactly in detail is being done to address some of the egregious bullying that's gone on here? Now, I know we've made applications for schools of character for all our schools. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about really understanding what's going on and addressing the bullying. Mrs. Dwyer, you talked about the self-assessment scores and that you thought they needed to come up. The self-assessment scores are more of like almost a checklist of things that you're required to do, like having a school safety team, programs, personnel, training, and things like that. They don't measure the effectiveness of actual programs and efforts, really. And I had talked to Mr. Rowe about this, and he agreed. He said it is more of a checklist, so it doesn't really reflect accurately what's being done to combat it. And so I'd like to ask what is being done. It's been almost a year since that meeting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
Seeing I'd like to close petitions requests.
Thank you, Debbie. Second?
Yeah, second.
Thank you, Will. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I just want to quickly say, with regards to the use on the Wallish property, the school board, when that was left to us, that property was requested to be used for educational purposes. Not necessarily that we have to, but it was requested. That's not the same with the township. That property had to be left for open space, recreation, or educational purposes. It would be our intentions that if we do anything, that those buildings, somehow, we can incorporate classes there. So, this isn't going to be something that I think the board rushes into at any given time. It's going to be something that we take and really think about. And with the town council, we'll work together on that. So, don't worry, we're not going to ruin the place. All right? And these are, we're in a discussion stage right now. As things develop, maybe we don't go that way, maybe we do, but right now, we're just in the discussion stage. We're in the information gathering, so this is all new to all of us. This isn't something that's going to just happen overnight, guys. So I just would like to let the friends know that, all right? Debbie, would you like to make a motion to adopt?
Joe, I'm sorry, I always forget, do I amend this now? I have two amendments to make, or after the motion?
You do it now, so that when we adopt
Okay.
it, we don't have to do it in each.
Got it.
I'm glad I don't have to retract.
Okay, so, page 3, Personnel Student Affairs.
Oh, yes.
Number 1, the date will change. This is the recommendation to accept the resignation of Elizabeth Miller. That is retroactive from January 6th. And then on page,
Real quick, Alex.
Thank you.
No, hold up, guys. Should we take 5 minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Can we take 5
Finish
minutes?
this.
Okay, go ahead.
and, because I'll forget otherwise. And page 12. Page 12, there's something that was slated to be voted on January 24th. Budget and Finance number 6. The recommendation to award a contract to A&M Refrigeration of West Milford for the purchase of a single-door upright freezer for Aptua School in the amount of $3,800. That is being moved to tonight. That is on the hand carry.
Okay.
So we're going to take it off next Tuesdays and move it to tonight. We just can't wait any longer for this freezer, so we have to vote on it tonight and order it tomorrow and take care of that. Those are the only changes I have. We can, I guess, move it, and then we'll take the recess, maybe?
Okay. Any other further discussions by any of the board on anything on the agenda for this evening? On the special action? No? Okay. Then, all in favor of a... Oh, you're right, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
I'd
Debbie.
like to make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented, including the hand carry number 1.
I'll second that.
And the modifications.
Modifications as well.
Okay. Okay, any discussion on the agenda? No, thanks. Okay. All in favor of adopting the agenda as presented?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I'd like to take a no more than a 10-minute recess while the council is here to have any quick discussions, and then we'll start the meeting back up. All right? All in favor of taking that? Yeah, I can just hit the gavel? Okay, then we're recessed for 10 minutes. Student Affairs, a special action, if you would proceed, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve items 1 through 7 under personnel student affairs.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Really good, Terry? Okay, Will, good. Okay. Go to roll call then, please, Barbara.
Mrs. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Huber?
Yes.
Mr. Seidowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Drew?
Yes.
Mrs. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Foodie?
Yes.
That concludes personnel student affairs.
Thank you, Debbie. Mrs. Dwyer, would you do education, please?
Okay, I'd like to move the following items, 1 through 4.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Drew?
I would just like to commend the administration for item number 3, trying to pursue the 2017 AP Challenge. I just, thank you. That's the kind of thing we need to do. Good job. You know, let's go for it. That's great.
Anything else? Okay, roll call, please, Barbara.
Mrs. Dwyer?
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Huber?
Yes.
Mr. Drew?
Yes.
Mr. Seidowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Foodie?
Yes.
Yep. You know what, maybe the public doesn't know what the AP Challenge is. Maybe a brief explanation.
Okay. Go ahead. I was going to. Go ahead.
The Route 23 Auto Mall AP Challenge is an annual event that takes place with local high schools, including West Milford. Students who are enrolled in an AP class and who take the AP exam and score a 3, 4, or 5 receive one entry into a lottery where they can win a car from the Auto Mall. If they pass 2 AP exams, they get 2 entries. So it's a wonderful day, probably in late June or maybe in July, I believe, where all the students from this spring's administration participate at the Auto Mall on Route 23. And there's some other smaller prizes as well. There's iPads, there's trivia games. So it's a really nice academic program that we put together for our students who really decided to push themselves and not take a class that limits them, but rather challenge themselves with a class that is going to potentially earn them college credits.
Okay. We now move on to the workshop discussion. And again, Debbie, you're up.
Sure. I have 29 items under Personnel Student Affairs for next week's Board of Ed meeting, presented to you this evening for a workshop discussion.
Do I have a second? Oh, actually, you're right, I don't need a second. Any discussion, though?
I do. On number 2, Dr. Allen, how are we doing on that appointment?
This is for our auto shop teacher. He changed the retirement date from June 30 to March 1. And we posted, we have applications on our website, and we will be interviewing shortly. We do have applications plural, but not much more than plural. So maybe 3 at last count. I have 3 at last count. We're checking certifications to see who we can bring in for an interview, and then we'll be moving forward.
I asked Barbara, and she sent me a link today. It looks like, even if we didn't get somebody who's certified, that we could get somebody that the state would certify to teach that particular class. If I read that right, Barbara, could you?
We're looking into it because I don't think we actually have the program where they allow the alternate types of certification, whether we can, but that's something that Dr. Anamone and Mr. Novak really have to delve into, since they're the ones that are involved with certification.
I mean, it would be great if we can get somebody out of this pool, but it might also be something that if we look into, or maybe any future things that
Yeah,
come in the
I think
workshop.
there are definitely options that they're going to explore.
Okay.
We're looking about as high and as low as we can. We think we have some certified people who won't have to go through that process, but in the event it doesn't work out, if we can't negotiate a contract, if the salary demands are too high, if whatever, then that's something we'll have to also consider.
Okay.
Just to follow up on that, we had discussed this issue a couple of meetings ago about hiring somebody with no certification at all, and how the VOTEC and private schools can do that. I did write the resolution. I'm going to email it to Barbara tomorrow, and she'll send it home on Friday to everybody to discuss, and then we'll deal with school boards. Maybe they'll lobby for us to be able to hire anybody we want for these types of positions, just like those other schools can.
Okay.
But it's very difficult to hire somebody with no certification. It has to meet a strict set of standards.
Yep.
Those other schools don't have that, those requirements. So it'd be nice if we also were under the same standards.
Yep.
We're not, but we'll see what happens.
It was brought to my attention that one of the freeholders put an article in the paper, and I'll send a link out to the board, that said that what we had discussed about them being exempt and us not having to wasn't the truth.
It's more true than not.
Yeah.
It's not, you know.
So, and they say that, and they went on to say about politics and all that, he was being more political than anybody in the room, so.
It was actually amusing.
Yeah. So I will forward that out.
Mr. Fuji, I have a question for Mr. Roselli. Is that essentially setting a precedent for us to do this down the line? Because it doesn't seem like this would help for the current search.
Correct. There's nothing, not nothing, but there's almost nothing we can do for the current search. We, for the most part, need to hire a certified teacher from the state who's been certified. This would take a long time, but it's something that we should do anyway.
Thank you.
Okay, any discussion on any of the other items under, oh, sorry, Steve?
I got a couple of questions, a comment. There's such a difference in income, you know, a few years out between skilled laborers and unskilled laborers. I think that, and given that we have, you know, such a high percentage of high school graduates who do not go on to college, I think we need to do everything we can to continue to, you know, provide skills to you know, that opportunity to our students. And so whatever it takes to bring people in who can teach them how to build things and how to do plumbing and so on and so forth, is just, I think, critical to this town and ought to be a clear part of the direction of West Milford Township Public Schools. Question, there are a whole bunch of these that have TBD on them. I assume those will all be filled in by next week?
That's our hope, that we have them all filled in by this week, but we have a couple of people we still have to speak with about that. But
On items 28, 29, it looks like we're looking to either hire or give a stipend to quite a number of people. Are these new requirements from the state of New Jersey? What's going on?
this is a position that we created with the board. We implemented this position last year. It's a position that was existing probably about 4 or 5 years ago in the district as a one-time use of the federal ARA funds. Last year, we were able to reorganize how we're using our Title I funds to provide this position, intervention specialist, for our title schools to target our students in greatest need. So we're able to do that again this year. We're hiring 1 intervention specialist for each of our Title I eligible schools, as well as 2 for the middle school.
So is this additional time that existing employees will spend on these things, or we're looking?
These are new people. These are positions. A current staff member couldn't fulfill this because of the amount of time it takes. This is somebody who's going to come in, and they're going to work for approximately 50 days at the rate that's here on the agenda to target us from March 1st to the time period around the administration of the park.
So we're really looking for the kind of additional tutoring help that we had a whole person doing last year, but now we're going to spread that across a number of different subject areas.
Well, it's pretty similar to what we had in place last year. The length of time proposed this year is a little bit longer than we were able to do last year. The only difference is now that last year it was just in the elementary schools. This year we also extended this opportunity to Macoupin School, and we have a person coming in for language arts and mathematics at the Macoupin School. So that's the major difference between last year's program and this year's program.
I assume it will be a big help. Did we budget for these, Barbara?
This is Title
Oh,
I.
no cost to us?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, this is the grant money from the feds.
He's a happy camper now.
Thank you.
Okay, real quick, when we talked about the, something that I wanted to ask, in that article that Freeholder put out. He said we were offered grant money 3 years ago for our automotive program. Do you know anything about that?
There was an inquiry from PCTI that was when Dr. McLaughlin was here as the
Okay.
superintendent of schools. And it was looked at. We don't know the details because none of the people that were involved, none of the employees are here, so we're trying to find out what exactly the details were. But maybe Dr. Anamone could shed some light on it.
Not now, I can't, but we're trying to go backwards and see what type of offer was made, how much money, what it involves, and what the benefit ultimately will be to our district. So we're not sure now. I really can't.
Yeah, no,
I recall, the only thing I recall was a satellite program. So
That's
that
what kind of I got out of the
PCTI
article.
would be actually running it.
Yeah, the article talked about them hiring a teacher.
Yeah, something.
You mentioned that in the article. It's vague.
But we're trying to reconstruct the details because that happened in 2014.
Yes, yes.
Oh, I've sent it. Yep.
Go ahead.
I don't think we ever finished the list here, so I have a question about 26. We have some college students coming in to observe. I assume there's some sort of screening process. I just don't know what it is, and I was wondering if you could enlighten me. I don't know, some sort of form of criminal check or something.
Yes, most of that's, very often it's handled by the university as well. You know, we require Man-2 testing in addition to that.
And then they send it over to us with the application or something?
Right, these are student teachers in essence. One is just going to do some observations, and one is you said 26, one is a student trainer, athletic trainer.
But we get the results of whatever criminal check they do before they come here, right?
They have to pass it.
They have to pass it before
Right.
they can come to the school.
That's actually done by their school.
Yeah.
I actually once got a call from a student teacher who wasn't going to pass and asked me what he can do. He was out of luck. But, so they're done through their school.
So essentially, is it
So we
law?
just
Is it
learned
law?
they passed or didn't.
Is it law that this university has to do that, or?
No.
Because if not, we should see it.
No.
To make sure it
It's
was
not
done
law,
properly.
but these are both, they're both state schools. I don't know about New York State University, but William Patterson does it because it's a state requirement, and the kids won't be able to enter their program if they can't pass it. I know this because I looked into the issue with that one student. I don't know about the New York school, so we could request it.
Any other discussion under personnel? Seeing none, we'll move on to budget and finance. Mr. Drew?
First, we have the special action hand carry regarding the upright freezer, so I'd like to remove item 1 of the budget and finance hand carry to purchase the freezer.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Barbara.
Mr. Drew?
Yes.
Mr. Seidowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Huber?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Foodie?
Yes.
Next, we have the workshop discussions items. There are 6 items that will be brought forward.
5.
5 now.
We just did the hand carry on item 6.
Oh, right, of course, I'm sorry.
I have a question about number 5. Is this something that's standard? I heard a rumor that we ran out of fuel at some point. This is for heating, right? Fuel oil?
Yeah.
Or this is not for the buses?
This is number 2 fuel
Yeah,
oil, so this is
That's
heating oil.
That's heating oil, okay.
We use heating oil at UGL in Apshua.
Okay. And number 1, the auditorium seating, I went back and rewatched the meeting from December 20th, and I think we had a miscommunication, at least it seemed that way. We were asking about what the $820-something thousand we had voted on for the auditorium renovation, what that consisted of, and the discussion kind of degenerated into an explanation of the entire project, I think, instead.
I think so.
And I don't think the people voting at that time understood that the seating was not included. So we have a little bit of a problem there as far as our past vote. I don't know exactly what you want to do about that, Mr. President, or anybody else.
Well, the
But
seating was never part of the bid specifications.
so
Yeah, yeah.
it was
because
budgeted
always
in the
projected
renovation.
to be
The
separate.
renovation budget would cover it, but our previous vote was based on inaccurate information.
We do know the dollar amount on that, don't we now? I mean, I think it's to be determined here, but do we know that dollar amount?
It's less than 200,000. I think it's $181,000.
Okay, okay.
So.
And they're cushion seats, everybody.
We talked about, I think what happened when we talked about a miscommunication, we had talked, I was outlining everything that was part of the project that you said, and that I think that there were a few different questions coming at me at the same time.
Yeah,
The seating was
looked at
never
the-
part of the base contract for the renovation.
Yeah.
And all in all, when we did discuss this, though, in executive, or not in committee, we were still about $300,000 under budget for the entire project, which included the seating. So we got the 830, the 180, the incidental architecture fees, some asbestos remediation, and it's.
I think the asbestos was 24. We had the 828, I want to say.
I think I gave everybody an accounting of the budget.
Yeah.
So we're currently looking at possibly doing a change order to add the sound system, since we have come in under budget, substantially under budget. So originally, when we talked about doing this project, we broke it into two phases, a phase one, phase two. And the second phase was going to be, I think, the lighting, the stage lighting, the HVAC behind the stage, because the unit there is a problem, and the sound system. So we have an opportunity to possibly do the sound system, and the architect is looking into what the cost would be to bring the sound system and a projection system forward as a change order, using the funds that we have that were budgeted.
And if we don't do, we also discussed about doing the piping runs for whatever wiring we would need.
Yeah, we would be
So that
doing the
if we do
cable
it in the
runs for the
future,
projection.
we wouldn't be tearing a place apart to
Yeah,
put in the new.
because ideally, they want a rear projection situation. They want rear projection at the auditorium at the high school, right?
That's one of the options.
So,
The screen that's there is perfectly fine. The actual
So-
screen.
yeah.
They used it the other night.
Servicing the projector that becomes difficult, more so than if we had a rear projection.
The high ceiling, yeah.
And also, rear projection does offer some additional options when it comes to presentation performance.
So there's still some things that we had anticipated doing in phase two that we may now be able to do using the additional monies that are still in the
Can you
overall
possibly
budget.
send us out by email the original budget, because I don't remember seeing it, but Can you send us out the original budget that you had done, and then also basically what you think we're actually going to be
I
paying
thought I
now?
attached that to your minutes from Budget and Finance from last week.
But the actual budget, what we budgeted is in our
I-
budget book from last year.
Yeah, the
So-
individual breakdown, but I
Yes.
think I had included that total dollar amount in the breakdown that I gave everybody.
Yeah, because you had given us the estimates that we received.
Yeah, here,
I don't have that with me, but
this page here. The original budget was $1.5 million.
Okay.
actually, I didn't get that. Did you
I've
get
got
that,
it.
Steve?
Yes.
In Budget and Finance?
Well,
No,
it was in the
this was
online
attached-
documents.
Oh, the online, yeah,
This
okay.
was attached to the back of your minutes.
Yep.
So if you got
Yeah,
hard
got it.
copy
Thank you.
minutes, it's in the
Okay.
back.
All right,
So-
super. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the auditorium seating was included in the expenditure, so we're still talking about approximately $395,000 that is available for some additional work that could be done at the auditorium.
Mr. Drew?
I guess I have two additional questions. Based on the presentation we saw, it seemed to me that it would be really worthwhile to do the LGEA probably as soon as possible, since we only pay for 10% of that anyhow, and that may help direct us with regard to, I know we're considering windows and various other kinds of things, but maybe we ought to look at an energy audit to say, oh, that money might be better spent on boilers, or so on and so forth. And I'm suggesting this now because I know we're going to be considering the budget.
That
Can
makes a
we
lot of
add this
sense.
to
Fair
Budget and
assessment.
Finance for February?
Yeah, we could. That'll give me some time, because I know we did have an audit done. We had a couple of audits done. We had an energy audit done through the state of New Jersey, I think, somewhere around 2012.
He couldn't find any records of it, Mr. Ponzo. couldn't
I
find any
remember we
Doesn't
did
mean it wasn't
something,
done.
I remember we did something, and to go to the next phase, it was going to be a pretty costly proposition. We also have done lighting upgrades through PSE&G, and I think that was 2 years ago. All of the schools got lighting upgrades, like in here, except for Aptua and UGL. We just did UGLs, no, we just did Aptuas this year. You approved that.
Yeah, are these LED lights?
I think that there's
No, those
something
are
that's...
fluorescent lights.
Those are fluorescent, but
The
I thought that they
LEDs
were
and the
done.
fluorescents look the same, but the light's different, so I think you're right in saying that these are probably fluorescent.
We did
I
most
do
of the
remember.
schools.
Yeah, I do
In the
remember.
all-purpose rooms,
With
and
LEDs?
I think so. I know that PSG came in, and they paid 80% of the cost for the upgrades. I have to go back and look, because I don't remember every detail.
Yep.
But we just did the LEDs over in Aptua School, and I think we did UGL last year, 2 years ago? Yeah, because when UGL and Aptua were excluded, we got a price for doing UGL, so we did do UGL. So we have been trying to,
Which is great, but I think I'd like to know that too, if they think they're going to find all these energy savings.
Yeah.
And it turns out we've already done them, that probably
we've
has.
done quite a few things. So let me try to find that energy audit that I know that we commissioned a few years ago.
I'm surprised at PSE&G when, I don't even think they were a supplier of ours except for
Yeah.
gas.
Right,
Paid
and,
for
and be-
electrical
and because of that,
upgrades.
they had the money that they had to spend, so any of their customers,
Okay.
and
Qualified
any of their
for it.
gas customers were qualified, because electric were with Rockland.
Yes, no, I know.
Or Butler.
I know.
So, because of gas, we qualified in 8 of the schools, right, 6, 4.
Oh, that is all of them.
4 and, yeah, we qualified in 6 because UGL and Apshua are on oil heat.
Yeah.
So they did not qualify, and that's why we had to do them outside of the program.
So I guess I'm suggesting then either we find the audit we've already done so we have some idea what we can still do to save.
I have to look for the information.
Or we have a special action that isn't in these, 6 items now to start a LGEA. One way or another, I'd like to have some idea of where we've got potential energy
I have a
savings.
feeling that the company, in order for us to register it with the state when that audit was done, we would have had to pay a fee. I'm not quite sure, but I remember there was money involved, and we didn't do it. So that's why I'm thinking it was done somewhere around 2012, 2013. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to try to find that.
If you could, Barbie, if you could let us know any of the paperwork from PSE&G, if they did put in LED lighting. I kind of don't remember that that's what they
Yeah, I'll
had
pull that
done.
out. That's easy stuff, because
Yeah,
that was just
but,
done.
If we go, when you go from fluorescents to LEDs, your energy consumption, tremendous drop. Tremendous drop. So even though we might have paid, if they paid 80%, we paid 20%, it would still be worth it for us to go to the LED fixtures. If that would be, I guess, probably the bigger things out of the whole thing in the district would be the LED lighting, because it's an initial cost up front, but those bulbs last forever. So then, if there's labor savings, there's a whole bunch of things in that, but, all right.
We definitely did Apshua School because they just finished doing the install. And we're
On
going to get,
on LEDs or?
yeah, LEDs.
Okay.
And we're getting a credit now. We're going to get a rebate for the install.
Okay. I believe I saw it, but I don't remember off the top of my head. We're supposed to get some answer back on the cost to bring Hillcrest. When are we getting
I'm
that?
checking on the audit. The sampling was supposed to be completed. The report for the sampling was supposed to be completed, I would say, this week.
Right.
So I have to find out what the status of that is, because they needed that in order to complete the recommendations
The
of
estimates for
bringing Hillcrest up
construction,
to, they needed to know what kind of abatements were going to be needed
Exactly.
in order for them to give
So
you a
you
number.
think you're going to have that
Yeah, the
this
sampling
week,
was
and maybe
done.
you can tell us next
The
week?
sampling was done, so I'm hoping that the report is going to be available to the engineers, the architect and engineers, sometime this week, so they can start working on, or finish.
They certainly won't have an answer by next week, but maybe we can at least have that.
I could find out how long it's going to take for them to do their part once they get the
Boy,
report.
that'd be nice to know.
Yeah, we
Okay.
need to know that.
Thank you.
The clock is ticking. Okay. So we did budget and finance. Do we have any other questions on budget and finance? One, we have some policies that we're going to be voting on for second reading on the 24th.
I'll present items 1 through 13 for discussion.
We should have all read this already, and hopefully, and had a discussion on it. Is there any, because we had the first reading, so this is just a formality now at this point, unless there's something that we really need to discuss. So, okay. Terry, education for worship, for, there's no moving.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Very excited about the high school, the art, the history of film program, and what was presented in the English truly is moving our curriculum forward. So I'm very happy to see that. I'm excited.
I went to the high school orientation for parents coming in from the middle school last week, and I was impressed with the explanation on the English courses that are being offered. They're really trying to get it tailored so that the students are interested. To keep their interest, and if you keep their interest, they're going to learn more.
Yep. Okay, I have one question. Why would we be approving the addition of Ridgewood High School to the list of board-approved field trip locations?
I had that same question.
Because it's not on the list.
No, I just,
Every other.
for the people who weren't there.
Okay, thank you. We had a trip, I think it was the History Bowl, was scheduled to compete at the Ridgewood High School, and then the main office at the high school checked the approved field trip list and determined that Ridgewood High School was not on the approved list. So following procedure, there was a discussion about can we allow this trip to go or not. Common sense prevailed, and Dr. Anamone approved the trip, and we are approving this retroactively so our students can compete in the History Bowl. And we talked about it at Ed Committee about the process of drafting a little overarching language to include in our approved field trip list so that this type of issue going forward doesn't occur again.
Okay, is that it under education?
This is the $170 book that we're approving. Looks like a very good book.
Is that a book on coffee?
Donation to the school district?
Absolutely not. It is paperback. And I can't help but wonder why we got to pay 5% shipping when, for example, we could buy the same book from Amazon for the same price with no shipping.
Well, unfortunately, we have bid thresholds, and Amazon, we're very selective about using Amazon because of our bid thresholds. Yeah.
What does that mean? We can't pay less?
We have a threshold that we have to meet, and since Amazon is one vendor, even though you're buying it from a separate vendor, if we hit our bid threshold of $40,000, it's an aggregate number, so I'm very selective about what I can buy from Amazon.
But I mean, this purchase price is $44.10.
Yeah, but that's only one thing.
But we buy that much from Amazon that it goes over?
Last year, we had to stop the purchasing because their prices were so good that a lot of books, we were buying a lot of the softcover supplemental reading books, and we got to the bid threshold, and I had to stop purchasing.
So we can't pay a single company more than a certain amount? Is that what we're saying? What about these roof contractors? I mean,
But they go out.
Seems like there's no end to how much we pay them.
But that's a bid.
If I could.
It's a different type of purchasing.
I understand the state has a rule, and
It's an aggregate, so yeah, this is only $4,000.
No, I get it. And so in aggregate, we
right,
might
all the
spend
textbooks, you can't go over $40,000.
That's why
Amazon, but
we
if
use
that's the cheapest
cooperatives.
price, let's spend more on it.
That's why we use cooperatives, and what we've tried to do is, if you do a lot of purchasing through Amazon, you'll see that they have you'll know what vendor they're going to be buying from.
Yes.
And what we've done is in certain situations, we've been able to go to the vendor, and if they're willing to accept a purchase order, then we could buy things separately from that particular vendor. Because it's usually a one-purchase
So
thing.
technically, if there were a corporation, for instance, if they bought it off of Amazon and then sold it to us for $1 a book more or something like that, we could use that separate vendor.
It's a different subject.
So is the only drawback is having to put out to bid this purchase?
No, because you'd have to go out to bid for every purchase that you use from Amazon.
But if you save,
It would end
what's
up
the
costing you
turnaround?
more money in creating the bid documents and going through the bid process, and you're not going to.
Well, they're not going to bid. We know that.
You're not going to trust me when I tell you, that's why we belong to cooperatives. We try to use cooperative purchasing as much as we possibly can because they've already taken the questions out of the aggregate spending that we have. That's why we belong to so many different cooperatives. We belong to Edata, we belong to Hunterdon, we belong to Morris Co-op, we belong to Educational Services of New Jersey. We belong to as many co-ops that we possibly can. Even on a national level, we belong to co-ops in order to...
So the co-ops are already bid out? is what you're
Yes, the
saying.
co-op's already bid out, so we, as a member of a co-op, we can,
Yeah.
utilize
And
their
I don't
contracts.
necessarily like Amazon or Bezos, I mean, they're the new evil empire putting businesses,
And when you
out of
talk
business.
about 5%
But,
shipping charge,
you
don't get
know,
me started with Houghton Mifflin.
Having to avoid saving money just doesn't,
Yeah.
that kind of cracks my skull, It's just, there's something wrong with that.
I think you need to, I think it's important for me to tell you too that my staff is all over this stuff when the purchase orders come through. We just went through this last week with Houghton Mifflin because they put a 10.5% service charge, shipping and handling charge on. And
sales tax, I've seen that come through.
Well, we
some of
don't,
the bills.
well, technically,
No, I know,
we
I
don't
know,
pay
but
sales tax.
I've seen that on a few bills, and you had it crossed off.
Right, so we scrutinize everything, and we've actually gone back and forth with Houghton Mifflin to save quite a few $1,000s this past school year.
For large orders.
So
because
we didn't pay 10%?
we didn't pay 10.5%, we
Good.
paid 6% on that, but we had a book order earlier for the biology books, and they were charging us 10.5%, which was over $3,000, and we fought them on it, and we got it down to 5%.
Good.
Question, what is the anticipated useful life of this paperback book? Are we expecting?
We
protect, we
have, they'll take, they'll put a little makeshift cover on. I've seen them in the book closet where the books from. Actually, I was joking around with Sharon West, I found books that had my name on the inside from the English department, and the book was still in great shape.
Paperbacks?
Paperback.
The subject matter will be relevant for at least a decade.
Yeah, well,
Well,
I was just wondering, because I can really see, I see what my boys do to a paperback book.
I got some of those blue covers. They're still
But will
useful.
these books go home?
No, you're an adult.
I would, not Mrs. Magister in the audience, so maybe she can answer that.
Kids in this class are not going to be
Oh,
kicking
you're
them
right,
through
you're
posts.
right.
Not to generalize, but the students in the advanced computer science.
Yeah. You're not going to be dropping them in the snow and throwing them down the hill.
All right,
Well, see, there you go.
okay. Any other discussions on anything under education? I'm going to then move on to old business unless we had something. Old business?
Just a quick point. I think it's important in just reading and discussing everything from AP to interventionists that something is made known that the middle children are getting taken care of. I felt like I was somebody who was stuck in the middle in my days, and I neither received help because I was exceptional, nor was I struggling enough. So just to throw that out there as a point, as my thinking. That's it.
Okay. Anything else under?
Seeing I'd like to close old business.
Okay.
Second.
Second, thank you, Will. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're going to move on to new business. And we have a resolution.
This is a resolution. January is School Board Recognition Month, and we have a nice resolution here that we're going to read out at the next meeting. I can read it out if it's all right with with the president, and we do have some...
this meeting.
Oh, it's for this meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, then I'll read it now, and do we have our...
Did they go home? I thought that they...
Okay.
Yeah, they went home.
You should have gotten already the
it was in
resolution.
the packet,
and
yes.
And a nice sheet of
I don't get
paper.
that. How about if we all stand in a circle and just pat each other on the back?
Well, let me see if I have yours here.
Or kick each other in the
I
end.
might have this here.
There's a letter of
little
commendation, written on nice paper,
Ooh,
that every board member gets.
See what Alex
Frameable.
is trying to do is what you've been wanting all along,
yeah,
giving us the recognition, Steve.
All right, should I read it, Jim? I'd like to.
Go ahead.
The board members put a lot of time in, and this is just sort of the tip of the iceberg of your time commitment. You do a lot of committee meetings, a lot of readings, show up at a lot of district events, a lot of town events and whatnot. So, whereas the New Jersey School Boards Association has declared January 2017 to be School Board Recognition Month, a time when all residents can acknowledge the contributions made by our local school board members. And whereas the West Milford Board of Education is one of more than 581 local school boards in New Jersey, which sets policies and oversees operations for public school districts. And whereas the West Milford Board of Education embraces the goal of high-quality education for all New Jersey public school students, and whereas New Jersey's local school boards help determine the educational goals for approximately 1.4 million children in pre-kindergarten through 12th grade, and whereas New Jersey's 5,000 local school board members who receive no remuneration for their services act as advocates for public school students as they work with administrators, teachers, and parents for the betterment of public education, and whereas school boards strive to provide the resources necessary to meet the needs of all students, including those with special needs, and whereas boards of education provide accountability to the public, they communicate the needs of the school district to the public, and they convey to school administrators the public's expectations for the schools, and whereas New Jersey can take pride in its schools, which rank among the nation's best in key achievement indicators such as the National Assessment for Educational Progress Scores and the preparation for college through advanced placement offerings and SAT assessments. Now therefore be it resolved that the West Milford Board of Education does hereby recognize the services of local school board members throughout New Jersey as we join communities statewide in observing January 2017 as School Board Recognition Month. And be it further resolved that the West Milford Board of Education urges all New Jersey citizens to work with their local boards of education and public school staffs toward the advancement of our children's education. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Is there anything else under new business? Go on.
Yeah, I'm tired of playing the motion to extend the meeting game. I would like to, last year there was a motion to move the end time for the meeting from 11 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Oh, so we're back to normal? Oh, great, never mind.
But I want to get out of here as soon as we can.
Well, yeah, we want
And you're delaying the meeting now, Glenn.
Had the presentation not gone on for a little over an hour and with a 10 or 15-minute break, it would now be about 8:25.
I didn't realize we had reset to 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, so the motion that Alex read, would somebody move that, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution that was presented by Dr. Hanneman.
Second. Thank you, Will. All in favor of the resolution as read?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Anything else under new business?
Seeing none, I'd like to close new business.
Okay. All in favor of closing new business?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now, it does say adjournment on here, but no.
We have a hip.
But we're going, we got to go to executive session.
Before we do that, we should do another public session, because the first one was only 4 items on the agenda. So there should be one for everything.
Okay.
I know there's not a lot of public here, but.
Yeah, all right. All right.
You have something else?
So you can just read the same one.
Yeah, and
but
just
but
add it, yeah.
take out the one about agenda items.
Yes, yes. Okay, petitions and requests. Petitioners who have requested to speak prior to the meeting will be first with 5 minutes for each petitioner for a period of 30 minutes, and then time permitting, other petitions and requests limited to 5 minutes per petitioner will be allowed until a 30-minute period transpires. Petitioners speaking, I guess I can scroll that. All speakers are asked to give their full name, spell their last name, provide their address. Speakers may not use the names of students during petitions and requests. Would anybody like to speak?
I was going to, but it's late. I'll save it for next week, though. Thank you.
Okay,
Seeing none, I'd like to close petitions and requests.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Who seconded? Seconded?
I second, yeah. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Glenn, the resolution for executive session, would you read that again, please?
All right, hold on, let me get there.
Page 2.
The one at the beginning?
Yep. It's 9:40.
Okay. Oh, yeah, move at 9:40 PM to go into executive session for the purposes of discussing a student matter, HIB, matters of attorney-client privilege, Hillcrest, and I added something else before.
Personnel.
And personnel.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We will adjourn in executive session into the back room. Request the honors on page 6 under special action.
I'd like to move to approve the following item. The recommendation of the superintendent to approve the following resolution. Whereas in accordance with the requirements set forth in PL 2010, Chapter 122, the West Milford Board of Education has received results of HIV investigative reports on January 17, 2017. Therefore, be it resolved that the West Milford Board of Education approves issuance of written decisions affirming, rejecting, or modifying the superintendent's determination in the following, actually it's only affirming.
Yeah, we're just,
Affirming the superintendent's determination in the following HIV investigation. Report number 2017, E6, substantiated.
Okay, so I have a
Second.
second. Thank you, Debbie. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please, Barbara.
Mr. Drew?
Yes.
Mr. Seidowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Huber?
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Foodie?
Yes.
Motion to
Okay.
adjourn?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you, everyone. I hope that the presentation was informative. Yeah,
Tell
no,
them next
we-
time to
we-
use fewer abbreviations.
Say that again?
Tell them next time to use fewer abbreviations.
Who is going to be, anybody going tomorrow night?
Yes.
Yes.
Be there.
Okay.
To
What is
Passaic
that?
County
The
School
Passaic
Board
County School Boards Association. Where
It's
is
not
it
going to be at the
The-
Brownstones. It's
It's
gonna
at,
At the Police and Fire?
The Police and
Academy?
Fire Academy.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's right next to Tech.
Well, then you better teach me how to do that.
Thanks, Joe.
superintendent.
Have a good night. Good night.
Good night, Joe.
Oh, I'll see you tomorrow.
Good night. Don't forget your coat.